And that's why when he says, you cannot behold with your natural eyes, meaning we don't have that same perspective he has with our natural state of being, right? You can gain at least some of his perspective through unifying and aligning your will with his and revelation and all of that. It's kind of a separate conversation. But the point is, naturally, instinctively, we don't perceive what he perceives. And so this is why really we've got to rely and have faith in our tribulation that he sees it, he understands it, and he knows that what we're going through is going to be for our, at the very least, our spiritual well-being. And that ultimately is what matters most. That is the most important thing. And it's hard to see that in the moment. And I never would belittle or put down, some of these tribulations they're going through, because it's real and it's painful and it's not fun and it requires serious faith at times that has to be put into action. But if you can do it, if you can persevere and hold faithful, remain true, what I can testify of is there are serious blessings that come from that, and you're rewarded for that faithfulness. And often it's a reward that is both temporal and spiritual. The Lord seems to try to do both as much as he can for our betterment. So that, I think that's something to grab onto and to take heart in, is that usually if we remain faithful through the tribulation, on the other side, there are blessings beyond which we cannot imagine in the moment.
I did find it fascinating here that this is a revelation precursor building up to establishing Zion, purchasing the lands, Missouri, all that. And we're told you can't behold with your natural eyes the things that are coming. Now, building up Zion is a very natural thing. Like, it's a temporal thing that's happening. But it's, the temporal is a manifestation of the spiritual, right? The spiritual Zion that's being built. But this idea of natural eyes versus spiritual eyes is very fascinating. I mean, this takes the mind to Moses, of course, the book of Moses, where Moses, is transfigured and says, well, he didn't see the Lord with his natural eyes, but he had to be transfigured to see with his spiritual eyes. And I talked about this, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but I talked about just, the gift of visions in general. We talked about the first vision. And I kind of floated the idea that, it was a vision. We talk about, the Father and the Son came to Joseph Smith, but it was a vision. So, what does that mean? Well, there may not, there's not an official answer to that. We, of course, always talk about it very naturally. Like, they came to him, and then we imagine that in our heads is what it would look like with our natural eyes. But there's a transfiguration of sort that happens where things happen through spiritual eyes. And the spiritual sight, visions that you receive, they don't happen with natural eyes. They happen with spiritual eyes. They happen in your spirit, in your mind, right? Thank you for watching. If you found this content spiritually enlightening, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Like the gospel, these little things make all the difference, and it helps the algorithm push out better content for everyone to enjoy on YouTube.